What is going on, guys? TIJ, welcome to a brand new video. And today it's time for my second F1 2017 video, and today it's time, as you can see on your screens, for the Belgian Grand Prix. Now, this is a dual purpose video. If you didn't see my video yesterday, basically I explained it, and that was just my first impressions video. If you want to go and see that, there was some classic content and modern content, and me just talking about my first impressions of the game. So if you want to go and see that, that's down in the description or just on the channel. This video is meant to bring you some gameplay of the game as a 25% Belgian Grand Prix, and also to give you some pointers for the Belgian Grand Prix. My preview, I've written some stuff down here by terrible handwriting to talk about the two practice sessions that took part today. As I understand, it's just started raining about 10 minutes before the end of the session, so I stopped watching and just started this. As you can see now, I did put it on dynamic, and it is wet, so yeah, it's not brilliant. So let's get straight into this. You obviously don't know what you know what we've got to do here, so let's just make sure we get the start all correct. Lights out and away we go. Just turn that down. I haven't driven in the wet yet on this game, I should say. No stupid moves into turn one, it says. Jesus Christ, Alonso. Oh, what happened there? Collision with Alonso, and we've got nasty front wing damage. I don't know if you mind, guys. I'm going to have to restart because I don't fancy taking a trip into the pits on the first lap. There's quite a bit of end plate damage there. But ignore the gameplay if you want. If you want to just listen to this Belgian Grand Prix preview, make sure to just have it on in the background. And yeah, we're just having it on in the background. And if you want to watch the gameplay, you can watch me being terrible at F1 too. So take two at the start. And what we're going to talk about first, we're going to talk about Mercedes. Now, before the summer break, of course, it was a Ferrari 1-2. We had Kimi nearly winning the race, but it was decided in the end that Vettel would win it because the team, didn't necessarily give orders for Vettel to stay in front. Because Hungary is such a hard track to overtake it with these new model of cars, Kimi stayed behind. But this weekend, obviously, Mercedes seem a little bit out on top. They have plenty of time still to find. I think I saw a tweet just before they started. I might link it actually in the video. I might not either. Oh god, look at the straight line speed. It's awful. But basically, what they were saying was Alonso's delta to his kind of fastest time to slowest time was 2.5 seconds, whereas Hamilton's was only 0.9 seconds. So there's plenty of time to be gained for Hamilton and Mercedes, of course. Hamilton's been really strong. He topped P2. I think he was second in P1, where Kimi Raikkonen topped that. And Bottas has struggled slightly. Now, I don't know whether Hamilton had a lower fuel load, a better downforce setting or what, but this weekend Hamilton just seems better. But I did think this while I was watching the practice session. With these laps that do like the quick laps in FP2, it's very much like a qualifying lap, and Hamilton's forte is the qualifying lap. Now, Bottas is probably better, not necessarily better than Hamilton, but better himself in race situations. So you can't really assess that as race pace necessarily, but Hamilton is competitive this weekend. But Bottas, like I've just said, he's struggling slightly, there we go. So, I can't really give a prediction yet. I'll probably give that at the end of the video, but just yet, I think Mercedes will be out on top probably this weekend, probably a bit quicker than Ferrari. Probably I'd have to say Kimi will be the best of the rest because he's been much quicker, not necessarily much quicker than Vettel, but he is known as the king of Spa, so if he's going to beat Vettel anywhere, he's got to beat him round here. And moving on to Ferrari, obviously Kimi was top in P1 and he's been second in this session, so really he's just traded places with Hamilton. And he's looking quick, not as quick as Mercedes I've put down here. Vettel's quite close, don't know what position he got in P1 and P2. But yeah, I know he was quick and quite close to Raikkonen in both sessions. So, obviously Vettel battling for the championship, the leader of the championship as we know. There's a bit of a kerfuffle behind, I don't quite know what's happening there. There's somebody coming to the pits. But yeah, obviously Vettel's leading the championship from Hamilton. Bottas is a little way behind. That's why I'd like to see Bottas do well. Because out of the three, I'd love Bottas to win the championship. Nothing against the other two. I just prefer Bottas. I mean, I'm not the biggest Hamilton fan in the world. But at the same time, I'm not the biggest Vettel fan in the world. So, I always love an underdog. So, Bottas, maybe even Kimi. I very much doubt Kimi's going to win it now. In fact, I'd put maybe 5,000 to 1 on that to win, literally now. Anyone other than... if anyone other than the top 3 win it, I'd be very surprised. Really, if anybody other than the top 2 wins it, I'd be very surprised. Just the fact that maybe Bottas can gain some crucial points at some point. He could go on a 2 or 3 race winning streak, which means that the lead's cut down. I believe the stat still exists. I don't know what the championship standings are completely. That Bottas is closer to Hamilton than he is to Vettel. Apologies if I'm wrong on that, and apologies for my terrible driving here. not really focusing on the game too much. But we are driving as Van Dorn, obviously, the home hero. We'll talk about him in a little bit. In fact, McLaren are pretty well down the list, so this is going to be fun. But we are nearly 2 laps in, so let's move on to Red Bull. Ferrari, I think, will take P3 and 4 this weekend. Maybe the Red Bulls might get in the mix. But Red Bull, really, I think that's the kind of quote I'd use for Red Bull this weekend. They're in the mix, aren't they? Sort of P5, P6. Unfortunately, in that session I've just watched, Ricciardo didn't get to do an ultra soft run. So we don't quite know whether Verstappen's lap was just good to get him into P4, or whether it was just the fact that, you know, the car is actually good. Obviously, Ricciardo hasn't done a retrospective lap yet, and they're in the mix. I think Red Bull are one of those teams that, round here, it's going to be one of the weak tracks, but it seems that the Renault powertrain now has gained back, in some aspects, that speed that it lost on the straight. I mean, a few years ago, you'd say that everywhere the Renault was, what, 10 mile an hour off on the straight? Sort of from 2014 onwards, obviously, because before that, Red Bull obviously dominated, and that was the real Renault manufacturer team, if you want to look at it that way. I don't know how the weather's changing in this race. I presume it just stay wet for the full race, but it's undynamic, so the weather has the ability to change. But obviously, you know, Red Bull in the mix, it could be one of the weaker tracks, but I don't see anybody being close enough to it. It's a little bit like, was it Williams 2 years ago, or was it Lotus? It was somebody a few years ago. Basically, they were too slow to go to the leading pack, but they weren't slow enough to be in the midfield, and that's kind of what Red Bull are in at the moment. They're kind of in their own ballpark, you know, if they can either overachieve or underachieve. Really, where they should be is 5th and 6th, but anywhere above that is a real achievement. Obviously, discarding, you know, that any of the top 4 ever crash, but still, that's the way it goes. So let's talk about Williams, who we've just obviously just mentioned. Now, Massa just crashed where we've just gone past in FP1. It was a weird crash. I think Channel 4, actually, the FOM boards were on board with him at the time. He just didn't seem to be, not necessarily focusing, but it was a weird crash. It was innocuous. I don't know who used that word, but a harmless crash. Something that, it was just a weird crash. There's a viable strategy change. Let's have a look. The tyres aren't really worn at the moment, so I wonder if it is going to become, well, they're saying no stops. Have a look. Apologies for this, folks. I'm just, wary for you wanted to watch the race that I don't completely bugger it up. Let's have a look at the weather report. The heavy rain will last about 5 minutes, then we're working in light rain. Right, so let's change that next tyre to intermediate. Sorry, so let's talk about Williams. Lance Stroll, P15 and P17, that's really poor for him. I just don't get it with Williams. The chassis doesn't seem so brilliant this year. Obviously, they've got Paddy Lowe on board. He hasn't been able to obviously develop the chassis this year. That'll be more his job next year, as he joined pretty much in December after garden leave from Mercedes. But Lance Stroll hasn't been brilliant this year. I mean, Channel 4 was saying it was a brilliant podium that he got when he got that podium at Azerbaijan. And fair enough, you know, he got a podium, well done to him. But in all honesty, there was a lot that happened in that race. So, was it really a brilliant podium? Debatable. But as I say, Massa crashed in FP1, so that put him out of FP2. Real shame for him, obviously, after he was ill at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But seeing as we've had the summer break, he's obviously got better and he's back in that car, which is all brilliant to see. And Lance Stroll down in 17th on this, very realistic. But yeah, let's talk about Toro Rosso next. Toro Rosso seemed quite competitive, certainly as Carlos Sainz. P7 in P1 and P9 in P2. So if we look at sort of maybe if Massa was in that session and above him, that'd be P8 and P10. Still inside the top 10 in both sessions, obviously using the McLaren here. Talking about the gameplay, this isn't going to be brilliant, but yeah, we'll be alright down into this corner. But Carlos Sainz is one of those drivers for me that he could take one of those seats, you know, one of the big seats. But of course with Kimi now taking that Ferrari seat for an extra year, and with Vettel pretty much confirmed, there's a tiny bit of uncertainty about Vettel. But Hamilton said that, well, Vettel ain't coming to Mercedes if I'm Mercedes. So reading to what you want from that, if Vettel all of a sudden says he's at Mercedes next year, then for me that suggests that Hamilton's going to retire. But that's pretty much an improbable situation for me. But Daniel Kvyat, P9 and P15 in both sessions. Don't quite know why he was so slow in that second session. No idea, to be fair. But Kvyat, as I say, he's obviously under pressure from Pierre Gasly for that seat at Toro Rosso for next season. They obviously did an interview with him. Channel 4 did. They did an interview with him. Sorry, Pierre Gasly. Yeah, Pierre Gasly. Just before FP2, Karun Chandok was just saying, you know, about Toro Rosso and how he's fine the team. Obviously, he's a Red Bull Junior. We've just got Kvyat, to be honest, luckily and weirdly. Is it intermediate conditions yet? I don't think anybody's come into the pits. But we haven't had that famous strategy change message. Of course, I haven't done any wet race on the game just yet. So we're going to leave it another lap before we come in. Put it on standard so we can put it on rich mix a little bit later on. But Daniel Kvyat obviously is under pressure from Pierre Gasly. Whether Gasly takes that seat, questionable. Might do, might not. But it would be harsh for Gasly not to get that seat. Another driver, of course, that's looking for a seat is Robert Kubica. He's looking to go back to Renault. Let's talk about Renault next. They were a bit further down in the list, actually, but we'll talk about Renault, sure. So, in P1, I'll just have to go past Rouge first before I look at my notes. I don't want to crash. That was an awful corner cut, apologies. So, Palmer got P11 and P10 in the practice sessions with Hulkenberg, P12 and P7 in the practice sessions. In FP2, Hulkenberg was only 1.6 seconds off the leader of Hamilton, which is really good. We're just having a bit of a ding-dong battle with Kvyat. I don't think he's wanting to let that position go. Do we shut the door on him or let him go? Yeah, I think we'd have to let him go, unfortunately. We might be able to get it back up the inside. Lance Stroll's actually pushed us in the back, which might give us a bit of a help to get back past Daniel Kvyat. This is the brilliant thing with this game. You can have so much more of a battle with the drivers. I feel they don't back out so easy, which is nice. Sorry about that, if you're not interested in the gameplay, though. But yeah, Renault. Jolyon Palmer, obviously, you know, maybe could have lost his seat over the holiday. But he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, so he wasn't bothered about that. Really, whilst he was climbing that. Obviously, he had a little bit of a longer holiday because Kubica pulled Hulkenberg's badge down from the top of the garage. That was quite amusing in testing. But Renault this weekend, obviously, I didn't do a prediction for Williams or Toro Rosso. I think Williams, they really. Oh dear, there's a rear wing problem with the car. We'll have a look at that in a bit. But they always flatter to deceive, Williams do, for some odd reason. I don't quite get it, but. I'd probably say points for Massa and definitely not points for, what's his face, Lad Stroll. So we've got light rain in this race for 20 minutes. Nobody's come in and the pit... See, if it's light rain, you'd think it'd be intermediates, but we'll give it another lap. We'll give it another lap. Everyone else sitting there in the wet, so that must be the right decision at the moment. I have to fight the car a little bit as well. For Renault this weekend, maybe a point for Hulkenberg, point or two for Hulkenberg. Doubt there'll be any points for Palmer this weekend. And then Toro Rosso, maybe a point or two for Sainz. So McLaren, let's talk about McLaren next. So in the two practice sessions, of course, Van Dorn at his home race, hence why I'm racing with him here. P10 and P14, the two practice sessions. Obviously, I'm quite a Van Dorn fan. Always been a McLaren fan too, but I've always liked Van Dorn since he's come from like GP2. Followed him through Super Formula last year. And Van Dorn really struggled to find his feet, I feel, at the start of the season. But now we've got to sort of this point in the season. I think he's competed quite well with Alonso. You know, he knows that at the end of the day he's got a bad car this year. Of course, it's not. Well, it's definitely not a brilliant car. And he's just got to face what he can. Obviously, Alonso got their best result before the summer break in 7th in Hungary. I think Van Dorn had a drive-through or something like that, which meant he couldn't get any points. Whoa, 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 my God. What the hell happened there? Let's have a look at this. I turned in and it just spun. Let's have a look. Sorry about this, folks. Did we just get a bit too much to the curb? Yeah, we just spun. Wow. Well, Kvyat obviously didn't hit us. So that's not brilliant. Oh, dear. This is not looking good. Go on, Ericsson. Sorry. This is not good at all. Come on, turn, turn, turn. There we go. We're pretty much at the back of the field now. Don't worry, this is not what it's like in career mode whatsoever. It's just really now I'm not really focusing. Oh my God, look at this! Just spinning it into every corner. This is unbelievable. Is this because of this well, the rear wing issue's gone now, but I should have picked the lap before, shouldn't I? It's going to be tricky to talk and focus on trying to sort my car out. Yeah, we're going to have to box this lap. McLaren... This weekend, obviously, they've got a really bad straight line speed. They look decently competitive, but I wouldn't say any points for McLaren personally this weekend. I just feel they haven't got the pace, obviously, on the straight lines, which is really going to hinder them. And I'd say that wherever they qualify is probably going to be as high as they get. Say if Alonso gets 10th, that's pretty much as high as he's going to get, in my opinion. So next we'll move on to Force India. Now Force India are a team a little bit like the opposite of Williams for me. They always seems like Williams flatter to deceive, and of course Force India always overachieve, which is a really interesting concept. Let's just stop my talking for a minute. We'll get all the teams done before the end of the video, don't you worry. Ericsson's coming with me, okay, that's interesting. We need to obviously activate the pit limiter, don't we? Pit limiter engaged, right, yeah. Right, we're in, brill. 50 mile an hour into the pit lane. Yeah, lean mix, right, we just got to sort out. I just want to get the pit lane all sorted and negotiated before I talk anymore. So we're pitting onto the intermediate tyres, obviously, and here we go. That's a good pit stop, nice one. Ericsson's actually gone out on the wets again, that's interesting. But what was I talking about? Sorry, Force India, yeah, they're always one that... Oh, crap. I did not expect that. But yeah, Force India are always one of those ones that do always really well. It's quite a shock, because they're just always really good. Now, I don't know what the grip's going to be like into Eau Rouge. That was awful, I know. But it seems like the car feels a bit quicker. What's the weather report, I suppose? Just light rain. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, Esteban Ocon obviously taking it to Sergio Perez this season. Oh, Ericsson's out. Wow, Ericsson's out. That's interesting. Alternate strategy. Alternate strategy or change to plan A. Apparently they want me to go on wets, but no, okay. Virtual safety car deployed. That's an interesting one. Let's talk a little bit about Force India then while we're here. Perez, Ocon getting P8 in both sessions so far. And Perez in 14 and 12. Ocon's been really good this season. You know, there was a pit, there was a interview, obviously the interview with the drivers' conference, that's the one, with Ocon, Van Dorn. Oh, you're joking me. Speeding, no, sorry guys, I'm just going to have to flashback. This is, I don't flashback in career mode, honest. But here I'm going to have to flashback, right. Yeah, this is ending. Right, ending. Okay, that's cool. We've run off at Puon, oh dear. But yes, Force India. Now, Ocon's really took it to Perez this year, which is fantastic. Ocon seems to be quicker this weekend, whether that's just fuel loads or whatever. Of course, we don't know with practice sessions, which is the beauty of it, I guess. But Force India, I'd always back them for points. I'd probably go 7th and 8th for them, to be quite honest. And then that leaves us with the two teams we haven't talked about, which firstly is Haas. Grosjean 17th and 13th, and Magnussen in 16th and 16th again. Now, Grosjean's always, of course, moaning about these brake issues. Now, it's an interesting one, isn't it, with Grosjean, because he could easily get a Ferrari if Vettel leaves. Now, Vettel isn't going to leave, is he? Let's be fair. So, he needs to sort of stay at Haas for another... Basically, he's waiting for Kimi to retire. I hate to say, you know, one favourite driver to another, but Kimi, when Kimi goes, the market will just open like, you know, it will, I can't think what the word is now. No, I can't think, but, obviously, you know, when Kimi goes, this is terrible on these intermediates, so I just never pit onto them. But oh well, it's gameplay, I suppose. But yeah, Haas, I don't see them getting any points this season. Sorry, not season. That's a bit strong. Just this weekend. And I think the same goes for Sauber, really. Sauber not doing too well. 18th and 19th, respectively, for Ericsson and Verline in both practice sessions. That's only really because Massa dropped out. Sauber are just way too far behind this year. They are real back marks. And I do feel sorry for both drivers. So I don't think it's just Verline that's a good driver. Ericsson's also a good driver. He has had his chances, he's obviously been at Caterham before, and now he's at Sauber, but I think he's a decent driver. I mean, he took it to NASA last year, who they all said, well, you know, NASA's a Williams development driver or whatever he was. So, there's obviously some potential there. But yeah, that's really, the team's all sorted and rounded up for me. Predictions for this weekend, I'm going to go with a Hamilton win, Raikkonen second, I know that's brave. Raikkonen second, Vettel third, and Bottas fourth. I'm just feeling like something will go wrong for Bottas in the race. To be fair, it usually goes wrong for Kimi and Bottas. It's always the way it goes, to be honest. Right, there's a heap of people in the pits. I guess they're all pitting for intermediates now. Let's get on the rich fuel mix. It's not helping that we've got this broken front wing end plate. That's not helpful. But yeah, it's been an interesting season so far, of course. 3 perpetrators in the title battle. We've got Bottas, we've got Hamilton, and we've got Vettel. For me, the championship winner will probably be Hamilton. Yeah, I'll go with Hamilton because that Mercedes car seems stronger on the long term. And it seems like that this year, Hamilton's got the better of Bottas in qualifying, which is a big thing around some of the circuits like Singapore that comes up in the future. Not necessarily, I was going to say Italy, that's completely the opposite. In fact, Italy's quite easy to overtake at, and I've just butchered this race completely on my Xbox One pad. I'm not doing very well whatsoever. And yeah, I think Hamilton will win the championship, Vettel second, Bottas third, and Kimi should get fourth. He's just been really unlucky this year, has the Iceman, but he's the king of Spa, they all say, so hopefully he should do quite well here. It'd be nice to see him do well, because I think he gets a bit too much stick for the wrong reasons. Now, that's me gone through there badly again. I'm probably going to be a bit biased because I'm a Kimi fan, but I do see people going, well, you know, it's time for Kimi to go. Well, people aren't saying that about Massa, do you know what I mean? You know, Massa, it's only because Massa's dominating Lance Stroll that people are saying, oh yeah, Massa can stay because Massa's good. Well, Kimi's good. And like Kimi said, if I didn't think I could win a world championship again, I'd quit. That's a little bit like the philosophy of Alonso. Alonso's a mega driver, and if he thought that he'd never win a championship again, what's the point of continuing? That's like anything. If you're in any sport and you're not going to win again, what's the point of playing? You're just going to embarrass yourself and you're going to go out on bad terms. You know, we all know that with some players and some drivers. I mean, Schumacher. Don't like to speak too negatively about Schumacher, of course, with his condition, but when he came back in 2010, he had that pole in Monaco 2012, which of course was taken away from him. But you do feel with Schumacher that it would have been better really left in 2006 for me anyway, but you know, that's the way it goes, I suppose. But yeah, Schumacher obviously came back and wasn't great, but to be fair, F1's one of those sports that you can come back, like Kubica's trying to do, and I just hope if Kubica does come back that he doesn't do a repeat of what Schumacher did. And really, yeah, I think that's about it for my preview. So I'm actually going to, if I can, no I can't, I thought you could simulate the session, can you? No, you can't do that on this game, then that's interesting. Fine. Well, we're in last, so I'm not being funny, we may as well just retire from the current session, because we're not going to get any better, but yeah, that's really all I was going to say for my preview of this weekend's Grand Prix. If you've got any predictions, I think this will be up at 7 on Friday night, so there we go, the McLaren engine's blown if you like. Hopefully that doesn't jinx Van Dorn for this weekend, but who knows. But hopefully you have enjoyed me talking and a little bit of gameplay of me playing the F1 game awfully. But yeah, that's about it for this video, the Belgian Grand Prix preview. My career mode, my career mode will be out tomorrow, I believe, at 7 as well, with Haas. So if you want to see any of that, yes, Bottas winning, get in. Is that Kimi in second or third as well? I mean, that'd be fantastic. The Hamilton's on the podium, so that's not brilliant. But Vettel's on the podium, so Bottas first, Vettel second, and Hamilton third. If that happened this weekend, I'd be more than happy. Leave your predictions down in the comments. Not really sure on mine. I'll go with Hamilton, Raikkonen, and Vettel. Why not? So there we go. As the driver spray, not shake. Spray their champagne. I'll let you enjoy that, and that's been it from me. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and leave your predictions down in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow for career mode. I'm out.